VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard with you live downtown Las Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is your spot. Loaded Thursday edition. As always, we will hit Thursday Night Football many times. The number, Jets up to 2.5 at a bunch of spots. Player props with that game. 4 NBA games with player props on the card coming up tonight. Paul Charchian in 30 minutes. Steve Wiss, soccer bets in an hour. Brad Powers, college football. And a reminder now, you can watch or listen on the VSiN Watch app anytime, anywhere. Watch for free for a limited time. All you have to do is visit the Apple app or Google Play Store now to download the VSiN Watch app. Pauly, the week started with total shenanigans and basically an impossible ending to a game, that Hail Mary to close out the Commanders and Bears game, which, at the end there, the Bears had no business losing. And then it leads into what happened last night in one of the dumbest innings that's ever been played in the history of the sport. Even Brent Musburger today in the VSiN newsletter, Text Bill 80 last night, basically called it the worst inning he's ever seen in the World Series. Mm-hmm. That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
And they lost the game. That team, the Yankees, could very easily be up 3-2 headed back to L.A. tomorrow night. And they lost in 5 games.
No doubt. And as fans, it was taken away from us as well, because Game 6 Friday would have been juicy with all the pressure on the Dodgers and the fact you get another game. And Michael Kay, voice of the Yankees, said, considering what was on the line and at stake, it's the worst inning he's ever seen.
Yeah.
It's accurate. It's accurate. It's never happened in baseball before. Think about that. Regular season, postseason, what occurred in the top of the 5th has never happened before. And then how the back end. You blow the 5-run lead. You have all of them were unearned. You had the 3+ errors. You had the catcher's interference and a balk. Since 1913, that's never happened. And the Dodgers were 80-1 if you took plus a half in play in the first 5. Imagine that's an all-time bad beat. It's 5-0. So you drop a routine fly ball. And then the Volpe play, were just a simple throw. And then he's still going to get out of it. Strikeout. And the exact same thing that happened in the first inning happened again with the squibber. And I don't know what Rizzo's thinking, and I don't know what Cole's doing.
They talked about it after the game, about how it had such a high spin rate to it.
Yeah.
That Rizzo had to play the ball like that. That's the only way he could have played it. Otherwise, he did not feel comfortable making a play with the grounder the way it was spinning.
Oh, man.
And I guess they can make that decision that quickly, although it was only hit at 49 miles an hour. And Cole elected, he knew, he's like, I didn't take a good angle. How do you botch that? I had to go back as soon as the game was over with, because I was going back and forth between SportsCenter and the Fox postgame show. And I think both broadcasts were in such disbelief of what happened that they never showed again what happened in the 5th inning. I had to go back and watch it on YouTube as soon as the game was over with. I'm like, did I see that right? I mean, is that really what happened again?
He can't
it's 21 minutes, and I watched it, and I laughed out loud for 10 minutes. I'm like, what on earth is going on?
That's the other thing. It took 21 minutes.
Yeah.
Nobody comes out to calm anyone down.
No, 30 pitches.
I know.
It's a clean first 4 innings.
Yeah.
They can't touch the guy. He was marvelous. And then that crap ensues.
Yeah.
And by the way, that turned into, I thought it was a dead bet. I made the case, how many times yesterday? 10 times to bet Garrett Cole at 15.5 over with the outs, or maybe 16.5. I thought for sure, because the pitch count then was getting up there, and it was just a disastrous, 21 minutes. I thought he was not coming out for the next inning.
Yep.
Not only did he come out and it was clean again, they brought him out again. Mm-hmm. So I very fortunate, and no complaints from me that actually won. But the fact that they lost the game and you could not win or cash Yankees' first 5 is just also.
A-Rod said it's the biggest collapse he's seen in 40 years in terms of a game. I know what happened with him, but down 0-3. But it doesn't make any sense. It's complete and utter embarrassment. Why does Rizzo back up and why does Cole stop running? But then they still have the lead. Mm-hmm. So Yankee fans who've watched them all year long said awful fundamentals, terrible, base running, blunders, stuff like that. And then it's Boone again. Why in a do-or-die game, why would you burn a pitcher just to get an out? Why doesn't Holmes come out for the 8th inning? He's only had 2 bad outings since September. And then don't bring Weaver in once the bases are loaded.
Yeah.
You're putting him in an impossible situation.
Very difficult spot there.
Just bring in Weaver to start the 8th or continue with Holmes. Or if it's first and second, nobody out, then bring Weaver in and give him a chance. Stupid.
Boy, how many bags of sunflower seeds did he go through last night?
Oh, yeah.
Every time they panned over, he's spitting them out left and right. Just 10 after, dozen after whatever.
You're
dozens
right.
upon dozens.
He's a big reason why. That it's not 3. It should be 3-2 Yankees right now.
Of course it should be.
Boone's a big reason why. Roberts made him look like a fool. Everything Roberts did worked, and everything Boone decided to do was stupid and backfired. Some of the stuff.
I did not think that ball off the bat of Teoscar Hernandez was going to go that far. When he hit it, I thought that was going to be a routine play. Well, what should be a routine play because the at-bat a little bit earlier in that inning that Judge completely whiffed on should have been routine, obviously. But I did not think that had a chance to touch the wall, and that was responsible for 2 more runs. So that ball must have carried pretty well. It was warm weather last night in New York. But overall, again, as you mentioned, first time in history that's ever taken place. All 3 of those, 3, 4 or 5, whatever it was, things that take place like that.
Yeah.
How sick is Garrett Cole? How pissed off? First of all, you got to love his game face. He never looks like he's having fun. But that to me is like a warrior. That's what it's like to be a true competitor. Is that you just want to, you're so competitive that you're not happy until like the game's over with and the win is in the column.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a Game 7, so I mean it's hard to say it's going to follow you around for the rest of your career because you were still down 3-2 if you won. But it's one you're going to think about for a while with that organization, and it's just an all-time. Chris Russo today said it's one of the worst losses in Yankees history.
Oh, it has to be.
Thinking top 3, top 4. All time when you go back
if you consider
and think,
that it's probably going to go down as almost unanimously thought of as the worst inning ever by a team.
Yeah. And
that's how they lost the game. Sure, it has to be up there for one of the worst all-time losses. How could it not be?
Mm-hmm. The flip side, the other thing, that's how you run an organization. And you got it from the fans who come out every year to the front office, and if they need something at the deadline, they go and get it. They always compete for championships and try to put the best team on the field. And I don't know, they only have 2, but it's hard to win these things. They only have 2 championships. Maybe it's more if we didn't have shenanigans with the Astros, and certainly they've had a lot of bad games.
Oh, I'm convinced. What was in 2017? I'm absolutely convinced the Dodgers should be crowned champions for that World Series. Absolutely.
Astros on the road. I feel bad for Kershaw.
The Astros were cheating their guts out the entire time.
So, but this is, Chris Russo said it again today on High Heat. This is the number 1 organization in sports. It's hard to argue with what they do. And they're always competing for championships. It's been this for like 15 years what they're doing.
They've been a machine for that long.
They have been, right. Now, they spend a lot of money, and they have a lot of money. But they go for it, and they make moves, and they sign the big players that they have to, and they're always in position where they're going to have one of the best records. They're going to be a tough out come October. And the other thing that paid off was what they had to go through, beating the Mets and beating the Padres, and the Yankees played nobody, and the American League was trash.
Yep, I will give you ESPN's power ratings for next year coming up in a second. Are the Yankees a playoff team next year if they don't re-sign Juan Soto?
I don't think he stays. It's a big move, and it'd be a huge loss. Now,
I don't know if they're a playoff team without him.
Right. It'd be unfortunate. Wow, that's strong. It'd be unfortunate if he goes to the Dodgers. I'm not buying it. But if I'm the Dodgers, I don't need that. I could just get a Max Fried or some arms and add 2 or 3 pitchers.
Did you see
Why would I sign
Did you see what
Soto?
Corbin Burns tweeted last night after the game?
What was it?
I think it was MLB's account that said world champs with a picture of like 6 of the players. He quote tweeted it and said just nothing but eyeball emojis.
Oh, boy. I thought maybe you'd go to the Mets. No, that would be...
Go get him if you're the Dodgers. I'd rather, if you're the Dodgers, you'd rather go spend money on him, like you said, than Juan Soto.
Give me Burns and Fried, or Burns and another arm as opposed to Soto,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. So
I
the
love
Yankees
that.
are the favorites, but I would think one place you can bet it, but I would say it's Mets and Giants in the probably 1-2 to get the guy.
Here's ESPN's power ratings as of right now for next year. Dodgers 1, Captain Obvious, hello. Phillies number 2.
They had a great year.
Padres number 3.
Yeah.
To your point, how good was the National League last year? How good is it going to be again next year? Those are the top 3 teams. Number 4, Baltimore. Haven't gotten to the Yankees yet. I'm not going to for a minute. And they pointed out huge free agents. They're not going to bring back Corbin Burns. Are they also going to lose Anthony Santander? 44 home runs. They're going to replace him, just slide in one of their 21-year-olds that they refuse to trade at the deadline? And they're going to produce that well?
Yeah.
Number 5, they have Cleveland.
Really?
Yeah.
A great story, getting guys back, yeah.
Still no Yankees. I'm not there yet. Number 6, Arizona. That's 4 of the top 6 teams ESPN has from the National League. How about number 7? Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay, they have to be.
Yes.
They'll be getting guys back. Strider, Acuna. They're going to be 7's probably too low. Number 8, Chicago Cubs.
Everything went right the first four months with their ERA and the pitching.
Oh, no, I'm not laughing at the Cubs.
Said,
they're going to be good.
Yeah. I'm saying, but the Yankees, that's why you can make the case that the Yankees are far down that list, that so much went right for them.
That's 6 of the top 8 teams next year. ESPN.com's early power ratings from the National League. Number 9, they have the New York Yankees. Number 9.
Yeah.
Wow. Then they have the Red Sox, the Astros at number 12, and then the Mariners. That is nuts. And if they don't re-sign Juan Soto, are they even a top 10 team? I don't know. Because there's no, are they better than the Astros with no Juan Soto?
Yeah,
number 11. 11.
Okay.
They're not better than the Astros. Let's get real here for a minute.
Yeah.
Red Sox, are they better than the Yankees with no Juan Soto? I tell you what, the Mariners are the team that should spend money on Juan Soto. That's exactly what they need.
Yeah. For them to miss the playoffs was embarrassing.
Yeah.
With their best rotation of all time in the history of the organization.
That was high comedy last night.
I can't believe it. It's a joke.
The
whole thing was a joke. What is Aaron Judge doing? How do you make the one catch and drop a routine fly ball? I played baseball my whole life. Two hands.
Yeah.
Come on, he takes his eye off the ball. How do you drop that?
You notice? I'm glad you brought that up. You notice who did look like he played baseball his whole life? Mookie Betts, running as hard as possible to first base. They teach you that at 5 years old. Great job by the Dodgers, pathetic by the Yankees. Win some, lose some. Up next, we will dive into the Jets and Texans. 2-15 straight up, 4-13 ATS in this spot. Yikes.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
Thursday on Follow the Money, Jets and Texans. Talk to Brad Powers on the loaded college football card, Paul Charchian, props and fantasy, and the meat man, Steve Wiss, on the weekend in soccer. Follow the Money weekdays, 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to VSiN.com/picks to see all the selections and weekly leaderboard of VSiN hosts, writers, and guests. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get every pick sent to your inbox daily. Just head to VSiN.com/pro.
So, Pauly, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
All right, it was a fun season. Chalk prevailed. Dodgers in 5, 8-1. Dodgers in play plus a half. First 5, 80-1. And at that point, they were 12-1 to win the game, which also happened. Judge plus 220 to go deep. The scenario played out. You get game 4. Cole dominates game 5. Judge and the offense wake up. You go back to L.A. You never know what happens.
Sure.
God, these guys. Chisholm plus 5.
And by the way, Cole, we talked about this yesterday. Cole was cruising along at a pace that if you just get out of there clean again, you can probably bail on him like in the 6th.
Yes.
And bring him back in game 7.
Yeah, and pull a Walker Buehler. That's
Yeah.
right. Yep, he was preliminary. Yep. Chisholm to go deep plus 550. Stanton plus 285. Total over 10.5, 2-1. A wild night in the association. The Blazers plus 290. Beat the Clippers. Pacers plus 230. Almost gave it away. Beat the Celtics in overtime. I think Brown and Tatum were like 9 of 30, something from it was ridiculous. They couldn't make a 3. Wizards plus 190. Oh, the Hawks are terrible. How do you lose that game? Atlanta 0-5 ATS. No Kuzma. Nets 5-1. They beat Memphis. And the Pistons plus 160. Bronny James to have an assist plus 320.
Oh, you said that yesterday on the show.
He scored. He had an assist. He had a steal. He missed the 3 attempt though, which he took that 3.
He did. He did score.
He did score.
I
Yep.
did not bet that. I wanted to bet it last night, but I didn't. I couldn't get there with it.
Yep. Subscribe, be part of the team. VSiN.com, our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. Hey, how about some golf in Africa? You never know what you're going to see. Let's go out. Well, how about 2 hippos going at it? Fighting. Coming in and trying to lock jaws. And this is, look at the guy just snapping the video where he's getting ready to putt. He looks over in the lake and you got 2, 3, 4,000 pounders going at it. Steel cage match.
Steel cage.
Look at this. It's like King Kong Bundy against who? Earthquake? Give me a blast from the
Kamala.
past. Kamala, very good. 2 hippos fighting in the lake, and the guy's like, "Oh, okay,
Look
that's
at this.
over."
Nonchalantly just walking away.
It's like, okay, Tom, let's go ready to putt.
So this is like normal life, I'm guessing, right? You get used to it, and you know that they're not a threat to come up on land and like spike your head off the ground and eat you to death. I mean,
What if one of them is like,
hey, what's that over there?
Yeah, they can scoop.
Oh my God, you're done.
All right, we got dogs in the penalty box. What do we have? Oh, you're in timeout. Yeah, there he is. He's got to hang his head in shame. He's in timeout for what he did. He was at the went to the bathroom inside, so they lock him in the Home Depot penalty box there.
2 minutes.
That is great. 2 minutes for timeout. Excellent. I put it under win some. How about Notre Dame's schedule next year? They are not messing around. Notre Dame, we start the college football season, Notre Dame at Miami. They play Texas A&M, at Arkansas, Boise State, USC, at Pitt, at Boston College, NC State, and Syracuse.
Okay.
Well done, Notre Dame.
Slightly better than this year's schedule.
Right, yeah.
Is the Boise game at home?
Yeah, it is. That's too bad. That'd be cool, Notre Dame at the Smurf turf.
Oh, my God. Come on. That'd be amazing.
Lose some. Hey, we had it. Clippers over, 214.5 to 219. It's going to be something to watch with these unders with the Clippers. Now, no one was at the game because of the World Series going on, but I think it's going to be something there with the shooting
By the way, the
background.
Kings were also playing last night.
Oh, yeah, right. Beat the Knights, yep. First period over again. Liberty, +1, went off the favorite. Lost again. I one of the biggest disappointments in college football. They're awful. The more losses are coming, too.
What are they going to be getting in a bowl game this year if they play a good team and
good
the
call.
players are just like, this sucks, we're not going to play?
So what am I looking at here? You tweeted this out. The Sun Belt has announced a new bracket format for 2025. Look at this thing. If you're watching VSiN.
I love this, by the way.
Yes, this is rewarding the regular season, where you would have the top 2 seeds get a bye into the semis, and a team would have to win 7 games in 7 days. That's what these teams should do. This is what these conferences should do.
Yes, they should. I applaud them for doing this.
If you're a one-bid league, this is how you should do it.
So the 1 and 2 seeds, essentially, they're getting a quadruple bye, I believe is what it is. And they're automatically in the semifinals. And all these other teams have to keep winning day after day after day after day. We've been screaming from the mountaintops for this, Pauly, for like 20 years.
Yep.
Something like this, and finally they're embracing it. Great job by the Sun Belt.
You played 3 months just to seed, and then it's up for grabs, and it comes down to a 3-day tournament. Bob Costas, lose some, retiring, MLB play-by-play. I love the guy. I know he wasn't popular. He had some bad calls this year, but maybe it's today's generation. He's an understated guy. He's not a get crazy and get excited.
Was there a reason why? Did he say anything about it? Or
I didn't see if there was a reason, but he called it quits. I thought, he goes back a long time, though, but that's, maybe you want to talk about age, whatever, and he had some tough calls this year, but I always thought he was a great announcer.
Do you think we have too much yelling nowadays with the play-by-play?
I think some guys are over the top, yeah. Like a George. I'd rather have Costas and a Tessitore. Absolutely, that's not phony and fake. Bad for the books. Pacers, Celtics over 231 up to 236. Thunder, Spurs under 224.5 down to 220.5. Not even close. Warriors from 1 up to 3.5. They punished the Pelicans. Vicious beat Yankees first 5. And Utah, Calgary first period under. Utah scored with 2 seconds left to put it over. There it is. Win some, lose some.
Good job.
We're up to 2.5 here now with the Jets. So we have seen this before. Good job by Evan Abrams, Action Network. If you have a disparity of 4+ wins, right? Because here 6-2 is favored against 2-6. It's happened. This is the 7th time it's happened since 1990 with that disparity. And the team, the dog, in this case, the bad team, from that standpoint is favored. The previous 6, the team that was favored won. So everyone's saying, how can the Texans be dogs?
Right.
How are the Jets favored? The last 6 times we've had this, the favorite/bad team, if you want to look at it that way, has won. So
I'm actually not surprised by that.
Yeah. Right. Jets season on the line. We'll see what they're made of. And if they lose, that's it.
All right. So the Jets, I'll add on top of that with this. VSiN.com, Steve Makinen's weekly write-up. Awesome. I highly suggest you check it out every single week. The Jets are 2-15 straight up. 4-13 ATS, last 17 primetime games. I think that's pretty common knowledge at this point because every single week we get like this combination of Jets, Giants, and primetime for some silly reason again, and both teams are just absolutely horrendous. So you have that going. You also have Thursday home teams coming off of a loss in their most recent game. Horrendous over the last 4 years. 24-32 straight up, 19-36-1 ATS, that is 34.5%. The Jets' defense against the rush, 23rd DVOA, 23rd in adjusted line yards, 30th. They're the 3rd worst team at allowing power success. 24th stuff rate, 16th at the second level. Here's what they have going for themselves tonight. Houston, when you look at adjusted line yards, they are dead last in the NFL, and they allow 24% of the runs to be stuffed on offense. That's last in the league. So other than that, they're actually fine, and Mixon has had a hell of a season.
Yeah, I like him over tonight. How do you not?
Do you want to go yards? Do you want to go attempts? He's had back-to-back games with 25 attempts. He had a game with 13 attempts that he ran for 102 yards, but it was a Houston blowout, so other guys got carries. And in game 1 this year, he had 30 attempts.
That's right. Every game he's had 100 yards but one.
Yeah.
So you're also right on about the attempts as well. So attempts and yards over. And the Jets have had issues stopping the run. They did a good job last week against New England. The other thing is, how does Garrett Wilson not go over? 61.5. Go back and look at his targets, what he's getting every single week. And now Lazard's out. So it's Adams and Wilson. But even though it's his buddy, he's been throwing to Wilson. He had 20 targets in the game in London.
Yeah. So
I love Wilson over. I like Hall receiving yards over. I think the Jets win the game. I'm so down on Houston and then the injuries and how bad Stroud has been. And I once asked Alan Boston, college basketball expert and pro bettor for years, did you ever have a, quote, lock or a game they couldn't lose? He said, yeah, it lost. So I just, based on Greg the Leg being out, who's kicking for the Jets? At DraftKings and other places, Fairbairn is $1.10 to have the longest made field goal.
Yeah.
If that loses, I give up.
We have news on that, actually.
Was it Riley Peterson? Or
it is. It's Riley Peterson.
Patterson, sorry.
Patterson, yeah.
Patterson.
Yep.
So the fact that, do you even want to trot the guy out there? They should be 5-3 just because of Greg the Leg. And then how you might say, well, we'll trust him from 45. Fairbairn has been automatic. He's got a huge leg. $1.10 to me is a great bet. And
I think I have a really good angle on this game, by the way, which I'll get to coming up in the next 3.5 hours.
Still a good game. Yeah, still a good game. And I wouldn't be surprised if both quarterbacks throw an interception. Get the Sports Equinox special until May 1st, a great special. We're running a Lock This Sucker. Every pick, every host, every guest, all the best bets, the public betting splits data, the pro betting guides, the betting systems from Mackinnon. Watch us as well. VSiN.com/subscribe. Hello, Nesson. Hello, Masson. Limited time offer. VSiN.com/subscribe and get the app's free, but you'll love that too. VSiN.com/subscribe. Be part of the team.
No doubt. So up next, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian is going to join the program. We will eventually get into the Jets and the Texans with him, find out who he likes, some player props as well. And on the Sunday slate, how much will Joe Flacco help the Colts offense and which players will benefit the most? We'll ask him coming up next here on VSiN.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. All right, Thursdays at this time, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian always joins the program. His podcast is called Fantasy Football Weekly. Website is called GuillotineLeagues.com. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. Charge, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. I want to start with your game, and by that I mean you're based in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. The Sunday night game first. I teased this before the break. We got to get into this. Now that Joe Flacco has been named the starting quarterback for the Colts, what does that mean overall for the offense, and which players would be targeting to maybe have an impact offensively against this Vikings defense?
Oh man, it's such a good move for them. At least short term. I mean, I don't know and really care what the long term ramifications are of putting Flacco under center and what that means for Anthony Richardson. The future of the quarterback position. Don't care really. Right now, there's a great opportunity for Flacco and Frank and this offense, and this is the right move. The Colts offense generates 8 more points in Joe Flacco games. I mean, think about it. You go from 19 to 27. 19 points, you lose most of your games. 27, you win most of your games. I mean, it's an enormous delta for a 500 team. And keep in mind, in these 3 Flacco starts, 2 of them were against Pittsburgh and Tennessee. It's 2 of the best defenses in the league. So, the big thing that's exploitable here, the wide receivers are so much better under Flacco than they are under Richardson. From a fantasy standpoint, Michael Pittman goes from wide receiver 51 and an average week, wide receiver 51, that's Van Jefferson, to wide receiver 21 under Flacco, that's Stephon Diggs. Josh Downs goes from wide receiver 48 under Richardson to wide receiver 13 under Joe Flacco. It's just these guys just vault into competency. And the guy I'm really, really interested in is Josh Downs. Downs emerging as Indy's best receiver. He is right now. Josh Downs is wide receiver 1 on that team. Nobody knows it. That's the case. Last week he scored once, nearly had twice. It's so close. It was a matter of inches for second touchdown. And Downs has one of the single most exploitable slot matchup in the league against Minnesota. The Vikings been roasted by slot receivers all year. Cooper Kupp, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jaden Reed, Deebo Samuel all scored and or topped 110 yards. This is a phenomenal opportunity for Josh Downs. I've been waiting for a line to come in on Downs. I'm guessing it's going to come in the high 50s, somewhere in there. And I love the over on Josh Downs if it comes into that kind of territory. All
right, so it's finally starting to hit the board right now. Downs is 54.5 at almost every single sports book.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a ladder opportunity. I think Downs has got 80, 90-yard upside in him. This is it's a fantastic opportunity. Vikings just can't. The guy that they most commonly man the slot with, not always, but most commonly, is Byron Murphy. And we've hit on this already. We've been paid on this a couple of times this year already. We got paid on Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think we might have talked about Cooper Kupp last week. We hit on Deebo Samuel earlier. This is a super, super positive trends. The Vikings slot cornerback Byron Murphy is allowing the most receptions for the most yards in the NFL, any player, any position. It's a Josh Downs, man. It's a great opportunity.
Very good. What do we do with Winston now this week and moving forward?
Yeah, this one's pretty thorny. So first, the game came against Baltimore, which is, right now one of the worst pass defenses in the league, and Baltimore dropped 3 interception-worthy passes. Had they gotten, 2 of the 3, or maybe 1 of the 3, we'd be talking about a different story here, and Baltimore probably would have won that game. But, he didn't, and he posted 334 yards and 3 scores, which is just like what Joe Flacco was doing in this Kevin Stefanski offense last year, which obviously was totally throttled by Deshaun Watson. So now he gets the Chargers on Sunday, which on paper looks like a very tricky matchup. They look amazing. They're giving up less than 1 passing touchdown per game. They rank 3rd in yards per game allowed. But what's unclear here is, are the Chargers really a great pass defense, or are they just a product of some really bad opposing quarterbacks? So get this. Gardner Minshew, they faced, since benched. Bryce Young, since benched. Justin Fields, since benched. Spencer Rattler benched mid-game against the Chargers. So, I think they're probably not nearly as good as the stats would suggest here for Winston. And I'm actually a little bit optimistic that he's going to be okay. The YOLO passing might ultimately work out for him. And maybe the Chargers just aren't that good. So I'm still actually kind of optimistic. Maybe I just want it to work out for Winston. It's such a good story. And, maybe I just want it to work out. But I still like him. He's my quarterback 10 for this week for fantasy purposes.
Yeah. Isn't it like a grab bag with him, like every start? It's going to be 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, and maybe 3 INTs.
That's right. And what's great about Winston is doesn't care about the picks.
No.
Dude's never rattled by the picks because that's all he's done is thrown picks.
You know what's funny, Paul? You know who he is now? Baker Mayfield's the same guy now.
Yeah, that's, you know what? There's really something to that.
Yeah.
Mayfield's another guy, throws tons of picks, doesn't care. Just comes out slinging, doesn't matter. That's a great analogy. I love that. Well done.
All right. So how about the team the Browns beat last week, the Ravens? Paul and I talked about this a lot this week. They didn't need a receiver, but oh my God, they went and added one anyway. Yeah. So do you want to just plug in Deontay Johnson to fantasy lineups? And I'm trying to look for like props right now, but I don't see any on him anywhere.
No, probably not yet. And maybe that's for the best. We've got, actually this might be an opportunity if one does pop, but let's talk about it. We've got some really good data to work off of. Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, 2 other good wide receivers who got traded in season. Let's look at what they did in their first games with their new teams. And you could throw Devontae Adams into this, but it really doesn't count because he already knew the offense and he knew Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett's offense and everything. So I'm throwing him out. For Cooper and Hopkins, they averaged in their first game with their new teams 3 targets, 2 receptions, 16 yards, and no scores. And here's Denver, right? This is a really good pass defense. They rank number 1 in fantasy points to wide receivers. They're 6th in receiving yards. They're 1st in wide receiver touchdowns allowed. And Patrick Surtain might be on Deontay Johnson sometimes. That's game over. So if there is a line posted, and this thing's in the 20s, I think the under would look pretty good on Deontay Johnson for week number 1. And since it's Halloween, and we should maybe put like a scare level on Deontay Johnson, at which if we had a scarometer, it would be the needle would be maxing out right now, like knees shaking, teeth chattering. Think Scooby-Doo. Shaggy. Sure. You remember Shaggy from Scooby-Doo?
Mm-hmm. He was a stoner.
Oh, big time. That time think about what his hair does and everything when he sees that zombie, or that time that he saw the witch, or that time that he saw a ghost, or the pirate ghost, or the snow ghost, or the ape ghost. They really leaned into ghosts on that show a lot. Not a lot of creativity from Hanna or Barbera on that show.
Well done.
In fact, in one episode, Shaggy got scared by a floating sandwich. I mean, that guy was a grade A wuss at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And Mitch, Pauly, did Shaggy ever solve a crime?
I'm going to say no.
No.
He didn't?
41 episodes of the original series. Fred and Velma went 41 for 41.
That's incredible.
Shaggy soiled himself 4 times.
So he was pretty much worthless. Was he Slater in Dazed and Confused?
That's a perfect analogy right there. The real villain of Scooby-Doo, Shaggy Rogers. He was the guy bringing nothing to the table every week.
Yeah. You have the first pick. Mitch has the second pick. First pick Halloween candy draft.
Oh, I love it. If you're going to, if we were redrafting in fantasy, it'd be Derrick Henry. To me, clearly, the Derrick Henry of Halloween candy drafting, it's got to be the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Everybody loves the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Yeah.
And it's not for the reasons you think. It's a lot of peanut butter, which people generally love. It's chocolate. It's 2 other things, I think. It's salty. People love the salt in the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, brings the whole thing together. And then secondarily, you can nibble off those little sharp edges when you wrap the paper off, take the paper off.
Sure.
Work right around the edge.
I'm on board.
Mitch, what are you doing? Second pick.
I'm going to probably go whatchamacallit.
Will you?
I love that.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a great call. I'm going to go. I'll go peanut butter Twix.
Trust me, I considered the Twix too. Yeah, going number 2 overall. What's Mr. Irrelevant?
Mr. Irrelevant has got to be the candy corn. The candy corn is terrible. It's just all it is. It's just sugar, right? It's just sugar in a different color. And they deceive you with the 3 colors in the candy corn. They're exactly the same flavor.
Yeah.
There's not 3 different flavors.
Change.
No, nothing changes. It's just like taking a spoonful of sugar, pour it in your mouth. There's no flavor, just sweet. Candy corn suck.
I'm not a fan. Also, I would put licorice on the list.
Oh, no.
Wow. Black licorice or red licorice?
I would probably
What are we
go
talking here?
black.
Anise is not.
Yeah, it's not. It is not.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Want the inside track on the Breeders' Cup? VSiN Breeders' Cup betting guide gives you the winning edge. Mr. Siegel's on the show tomorrow with picks, packed with insights from our top experts with 6 race previews. This guide isn't about who's running, it's about who's winning. Best bets on every track, every race. If you're serious about cashing in on the Breeders' Cup, become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get the guide. $120 until May 1st. VSiN.com/subscribe. Deal goes until May 1st.
Jets, Texans next. How should we attack the Houston receivers with no Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs?
In the heart of downtown Las Vegas, a sports oasis awaits. Stadium Swim, the ultimate outdoor amphitheater, built for the ultimate sports fan, with a colossal screen that brings the game closer than ever. Reserve a daybed, private cabana, or lounge in the center of it all. 6 pools to dive into as the game heats up. And the best part, there's never an off-season. Open 365 days a year. Stadium Swim, it's always spectator season.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Feeling good today on Halloween. We continue talking fantasy football and player props with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian, GuillotineLeagues.com. And the podcast is called Fantasy Football Weekly. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. We'll continue talking with him in a second. Nice job by the fellas behind the glass, Andrew and everybody. I like the spiders at the very front of that package right there, coming back.
Great job.
Have you seen any critters lately here in Las Vegas?
No, I haven't.
Oh, my God, the scorpions. I had one this big the other day at the house.
Oh, no.
Alive, moving, getting across the floor. You got to react. It's the second that you see them.
Oh, all right. Good job. Came back costume in the second segment. Good job. Are you
needed to be done?
Johnny Depp?
Yeah, we're going a lot. We get mistaken for each other a lot. A lot of people on the street. I'll be doing laundry at the laundromat and stuff. People think it's me.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Johnny Depp. Yeah,
good job.
He's very difficult to work with, from what I understand. Same goes for you.
Same. Yeah, very
nightmare
similar
stories. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
very similar.
Yeah, you've never been on Halloween. This is awesome.
And so, is this how you're going to be dressed tonight when kids come to the house and ring the doorbell, or are you going to go out with the better half? What are you doing?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wear this in the bedroom later is the plan, and then maybe we'll hit the kids up with a totally different costume.
Yeah, strong. Do you ever do the
sexy pirate?
Yeah, you ever put the bucket out and say take two and move on?
God, it's such a depressing social experiment because people always steal,
I know.
right?
I know.
It's such a bummer. I don't want to live in that world.
Yep, someone will always do it. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So as for tonight's game, in the bedroom with the pirate costume on, TV optional, I'm guessing, for you at this point. Might be on, might not be. Who knows? What do you want to do with Texans receivers? No Nico Collins, no Stephon Diggs, or is it maybe a way to fade C.J. Stroud in general instead?
Yeah, I think that's it. And by the way, TV will be off, but we will be recording, just to be clear. C.J. Stroud's line is 221 passing yards. We're going to go under that. It's New York's cornerbacks, and they've got the best set of cornerbacks in the league, right? Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Michael Carter against Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson, and the undead corpse of Robert Woods, which granted is on theme today, but will not ultimately help Stroud here very much. Jets ranked number 2 in passing yards allowed at just 180 per game. And since the opener, only one quarterback has topped today's line of 221.5 yards, and most aren't even close. Again, average passing game, just 180 yards per game. That gives us a 42-yard buffer for C.J. Stroud. And in the 3 games without Nico Collins, Stroud's been way under 222 yards. He had the 86-yarder against Green Bay, and you could just sort of write that off as a terrible game or whatever, but 192 passing yards against New England without Nico Collins. So, yeah, I don't love the 221 passing yards. I think Stroud should be under that tonight.
So the way that you have to approach it, and I agree with that, in my opinion here, is with the Texans running backs, right? Yeah. We rattled off Mixon's game log a little bit earlier. We told people how awful the Jets have been for the most part against running backs the entire year.
Yeah.
Mixon's rushing attempts prop is 20.5. It's the first thing I looked at today. Is it too high to go over? Or do you still like it?
I still like it. It is a big number, but I do still like it here. And they're going to struggle to pass, and most teams do. And the Jets aren't a terrible pass defense, but it's all volume. They see a ton of runs, and Mixon's going to be that guy. On a per-game basis, Mixon is only behind Derrick Henry in rushing yards. He's running at 5 yards per carry. That's a career high. The path to victory here for Houston is on the ground. And in fairness, I thought Mixon looked kind of cooked the last couple of years in Cincinnati, but he looks rejuvenated now. I was worried like 1,900 touches. His yards per carry last year's down to 3.9. Dude's apparently got some gas left in the tank. He's looked really good. But most importantly for this number of 20.5 rushes, Mixon, total workhorse. In an era where most teams have a committee, in his 4 full games, he's averaged 23 carries and 3 receptions. And because the Jets are just such a good pass defense, they see a ton of volume on the ground. They're averaging 30 carries per game against them. The backup running back, Dameon Pierce, is not expected to play. 3 straight opposing rushers have hit 20 carries. And listen to the last 3 runners to play the Jets. Ray Davis. I mean, these guys are not workhorse backs. Ray Davis, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson have all hit 20-plus carries in the last 3 games against the Jets. So me and my parrot here, we're taking the over on 20.5 rushes for Joe Mixon.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
So what happens now with Lazard on IR or looking at IR and out tonight? I like Wilson over. I mean, he's only 61.5, but from a fantasy standpoint, targets 8, 9, 10, 23, 8, 9, 6, 11. Even with Adams, Rodgers is still looking at him a lot.
Oh, yeah, tons. I mean, he's the big beneficiary from the Devontae Adams trade. It's Garrett Wilson. 2 games with Devontae Adams on the team, 17 targets, air yards, 260 air yards on passes to Garrett Wilson, and he's managed to come down with 174 of those yards in 2 games. Because defenses now, for the first time in Garrett Wilson's life, have to play him straight up because they can't roll extra coverage to Garrett Wilson anymore. And Adams is on the field constantly. So that has ultimately helped Garrett Wilson as well. Adams has been on the field for, I believe, all but 1 offensive snap since the trade, which is crazy. He just walked right into this role. So, I think Adams has helped Garrett Wilson more than he's helped himself so far.
Great breakdown. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Paul Charchian, on the Progressive Guest Line. Last week was National Tight End Day, and they almost all went nuts, right? So not chasing stats here, obviously, but is there a tight end that you really like the matchup for this week?
Yeah, and this is one of the few tight ends that didn't go off last week. Cole Kmet. This is my favorite play of the week. Over 30.5 receiving yards against the Cardinals. Dud game last week for Kmet, as I mentioned, but this line is weirdly low considering Kmet's been over the 30.5 yards in 4 straight games before last week. And even including last week's game, if you go over the last 5 weeks, Kmet has averaged 54 yards. So we've got 24 yards of cushion to work with here between the 30.5 receiving yards we need and his average of 54 yards. And you're probably thinking to yourself right now, Charch, you look like a moron. And also, Arizona must be a great tight end defense. They must be great. No, it's the opposite. They're terrible. Over the past 5 weeks, they're allowing 59 tight end yards per game. And tight ends who have cleared Kmet's line, 30.5 yards against the Cardinals so far this year, there's Sam Laporta and George Kittle. They're great. So, okay, great. They cleared the line. But so have these guys. And I challenge both of you and all of your viewers and listeners to name all the teams that these other receivers who have cleared Kmet's line, who they are and what team they play for. Stone Smart, Will Dissly, Ben Sims, and Brock Wright. If you can go 5 for 5 on those guys, 4 for 4 on those guys, congratulations, because that is not easy.
Dissly's definitely the Chargers.
That's right.
That's where my list ends, I think.
Yeah. Strong.
Ben Sims, Packers. Brock Wright is Lions. And Stone Smart, also Chargers.
2 minutes left. How about Mooney? What's the angle on Mooney?
The Mooney angle is this. We're going to go over the 53.5 receiving yards against Dallas. Drake London, as a comparison point, his line is 10 yards higher. But these 2 guys are coming together in terms of usage. Over the last month, Mooney and London tied in targets, routes run, tied in touchdowns scored. We've seen non-number 1 wideouts top this line of 53.5 53.5 against the Cowboys many times. Rashid Shaheed, Nelson Aguilar, Wendell Robinson, Darius Slayton, Khalif Raymond, Tim Patrick, Jamison Williams. I mean, that's 7 non-number 1 receivers in 7 games who have topped this line. And Darnell Mooney, arguably better than all those guys. Mooney's blazing fast. I could see him just getting one deep ball past Trayvon Diggs on his surgically repaired knee, and bang, we're most of the way home to our 53.5 on Darnell Mooney.
Excellent. Quickly, I mentioned this before. I'm the president of the Amon-Ra St. Brown fan club.
Baby.
Love him. Is he going to go off against the Packers?
I think he is. The Packers secondary's gotten much better lately. They took their cornerback Eric Stokes off the field and benched him, and that shuffled their slot guy who would normally be on Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's Keyshawn Nixon. Now he's playing outside. So who's playing in the slot now? It's a safety turned cornerback named Javon Bullard, who's got almost no experience in the slot. But what he's been doing in the last 2 or 3 games, hasn't been good, giving up an almost 90% completion rate. He was getting worked by Christian Kirk last week before he dislocated his shoulder. And here's the interesting angle on Brown. Coming off a 7-yard game, his bounce back games over the last 2 years, when he has 37 or less receiving yards, he averages in the bounce back 12 targets, 9 receptions, 114 yards.
Holy smokes. Awesome. I love it. Charge, happy Halloween. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, friends. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Ahoy, matey.
All right, there he goes. GuillotineLeagues.com as well. Up next, best bets in soccer this weekend from the Meat Man, Steve Wiss, next here on VSiN.
It's that magical time of year, the sports equinox, when all 4 major sports are in action.